marketing tool. Why do you think some businesses had full page or half page or quarter page ads? Because they were trying to get your attention. They were trying to market to you. And studies showed that the bigger your ad in the yellow pages, the more likely those people looking for your product or services were going to choose you. But hey, you aren't advertised or marketed to. Plain and simple. It's a fact of life, but she couldn't accept it. Ergo, she had a slight mental disorder. She couldn't accept the fact, well, I'm a liberal, but I guess I'm not that liberal. She couldn't accept the fact that the facts are more black babies in certain communities are aborted than born. She couldn't accept the fact that, even though I was willing, and I even got her to the point where she had to agree. I love when I do that. Well, hey, if it's now alive, how can you say it's no longer murder? If it's now baby's now alive, and what do we just? We had somebody that went so far as to say, well, it's not a human or a live baby until you leave the hospital. Who said that, by the way? Do you remember who said? Yeah, I don't remember who said that. Somebody said that. But yeah, well. That's just the. But the left, they think they're normal, and they're very abnormal. I'm. No, I'm not gonna. No, they're just abnormal. Just understand the left is abnormal. Many of them have a mental disorder because they divest themselves of reality. They cannot bring it's kind of like wait, is that still a big second? Anybody remember the virtual second? Anybody remember Second Life? Yeah, I don't know if it's even if it's still out there. Well, I'm sure it is. I think they were making Second Life. It was like it was kind of like the beginnings of the Matrix, where people kind of got lost in this stuff, and maybe I'll look it up again and see what Second Life is all about. But people were doing all kinds of, they had there were people making money on Second Life, real world money on Second Life, and people were doing all kinds of strange, fantasy types of things on Second Life, And I remember back in the early 2000s, I had a Second Life account, but I think I was on there for like 3 months and figured out that this was, one, it was a waste of my time. Two, it was just pure fantasy driven, and I wasn't going to waste my time doing it. And three, there were some weird people, because you actually have a character that you build and design, and you put, you clothe them and everything, and you're walking around this virtual world, and you have some weird people that come up and wanted to talk to you, and I just thought they were really freaky. And so I divested myself of Second Life and deleted my account because those people were just too strange. Now, I'm sure that, there are people out there that probably thought that it was okay, evidently. And, I'm not going to. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. But liberalism is still a mental disorder. And, there, speaking of mental disorders, I mentioned it earlier about the $15 minimum wage. Here's something from Fox News Politics, foxnews.com. Oh, my God, Rod watches Fox News. See, we told you, he's so busy. He's all connected into Fox News, he doesn't know what reality is. Well, no, I don't watch Fox News, but this came across my news feed about the $15 minimum wage. Seattle sees the fallout from $15 minimum wage as other cities wish to follow suit. Now, Seattle's $15 minimum wage law is supposed to lift workers out of poverty and move them off of public assistance, right? Well, but there's a hitch in the plan. A hitch that, I got to tell you, even I didn't really come up with this wonderful little hitch, but it makes total sense. And when you think about the human condition and what humans like to do when they're getting a freebie, of course this makes sense. Evidence is surfacing that some workers are asking their bosses for fewer hours as their wages rise in a bid to keep overall income down so they don't lose public subsidies for things like food, childcare, and rent. So in other words, so they don't lose their government benefits. They want to work fewer. Hey, yeah, I'll take the $15 an hour, but instead of working 30 hours a week, I can only work 20 now at the new. So they're not making any more. They're just spending less time at work doing it. Now, Full Life Care, a home nursing nonprofit, told KIRO TV in Seattle that several workers want to work less. Now, if they cut down their hours to stay on those subsidies because the $15 per hour minimum wage didn't actually help them out of poverty, all you've done is put a burden on the business and given false hope to a lot of people, said Jason Rantz, host of the Jason Rantz Show on 97.3 KIRO FM. Now, the twist is just one apparent side effect of the controversial yet trend-setting minimum wage law in Seattle, which is being copied in several other cities despite concerns over prices rising and businesses struggling to keep up. You know, they don't care about business because they think this is everything's happening in a vacuum. The notion that employees are intentionally working less to preserve their welfare has been a hot topic on talk radio there. While the claims are difficult to track, no, they're really not. The state stats indeed suggest fewer moving off welfare programs under the new wage, when they were saying all along, well, yeah, you want to get people off of welfare, you just raise the minimum wage. And we tried telling people, well, that's not going to work because people aren't going to want to work. They're still not going to want to get a job. When you have welfare benefits that are equal to or greater than what people can get going to work, they're going to choose not working or working as little as possible. And this is coming to pass, that now that they're getting $15 an hour, I guess this is a way to increase employment, right? The number of people working, because now, instead of at $15 an hour, now it takes 3 people to do the job of 2. Well, I mean, if you're used to working 30 hours, but you want to keep your benefits, and at $15 an hour versus $7 an hour, whatever it was, all you need to do is work 20 hours. So that's a 10-hour deficit. Now, 2 workers now working 20 instead of 30. Well, that's a 20-hour deficit. So that's room for a third worker to come in and work 20 hours and still get welfare benefits. So now instead of having 2. You got 3. But that third person is still increasing the cost of the business because now they've got a third, more in payroll taxes and insurance and all kinds of stuff that goes along with hiring and running a business when you have an employee. So now you added another employee. Instead of where you had 2, now you got 3. Well, that just, increases your cost by a third, your employment cost by a third. And there you have it. So prices have to rise. They have to rise to pay for it. But see, the wonderful left, all they want to see is, well, it's going to lift these people out of poverty. But it's not lifting them out of poverty. No, but if we keep on, it'll lift them out of poverty. We're telling you, it'll lift them out of poverty. But these people don't want to work 30 hours when they can work 20 hours and still get their benefits. Because if they work 30, they're not going to get their benefits, and they're going to be poor. Well, no, it's going to lift them out, but they won't be in poverty then. Well, actually, they will be. Because you've raised the bar of poverty to such a ridiculously high number that all these people think, well, geez, I don't want to be in poverty. If I'm going to be in poverty, I want government assistance. I want the freebies from the government. But you can't get that through. You can't sink it through the thick skull of a person who's a liberal because he has a mental disorder, because he's totally divested himself of the reality that is real life. He can't take the facts. And that's too bad. Well, for all of us, it's too bad because we all have to pay for it, one way or another. We're all paying it for in our taxes, in the prices of goods or services. The story continues that the notion employees are intentionally working less to preserve their welfare has been a hot topic, but despite a booming economy throughout western Washington state, the state's welfare caseload has dropped very little since the higher wage phase began in Seattle in April. In March, 130,851 people were enrolled in the basic food program. In April, the caseload dropped to 130,376. So about 500 people dropped off. At the same time, however, prices appear to be going up on just about everything. Oh, did we not tell you that prices were going to go up? At the same time, prices appear to be going up on just about everything. Some restaurants have tacked on a 15% surcharge to cover the higher wages. Look, when I was in San Francisco 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was the Obamacare thing. And going to a restaurant, tacked onto my bill was this surcharge in a percentage form, and it said the Obamacare surcharge because they were tacking on the price of whatever it was going to cost this employer at this restaurant to follow the Obamacare law. Well, now I'm the patron, I'm the customer. And as I've always said, businesses don't pay for a damn thing. It's the customer or the client that pays for everything. And here I'm sitting, okay, I have a meal, it's $20, whatever it is. And now I've got to pay the state tax on it, whatever that is. And now I got this 10 or 7 to 10% surcharge, Obamacare surcharge. So I have to pay that. That's part of the bill. And instead of them just shoving it in there and raising their prices on the food, they want you to know, and the businesses are smart, they want you to know exactly how much the cost of your meal is going up because of Obamacare. Now, if somebody out there in California, they wanted to make that illegal, and businesses just said, well, look, all we're doing is we're being open and honest about where the charge is coming from. It's still, if you tell us that we can't separate it out, we're still going to raise our prices 7 or 10%. Period. The difference is that now the customer knows exactly why we're raising our prices, and if we just raise them before, they're not going to know, and they're just going to be mad. You're going to be mad at everybody, and they're going to stop going out, and that's going to hurt the economy, and that means that businesses are going to have to lay off people. So if you let us tell people why, they might still go out and go shopping and still dine out and eat. Well, this is what it's going to cost. Well, now they're doing it with the wage increase. Well, okay, this is going to, this $15 an hour wage, minimum wage, is now going to cost you 15% more. And we're going to tell you exactly on your bill what that 15% is and what it's for. Here's the additional cost that it takes for us to do business. Because the left thought, well, geez, businesses will just absorb the cost and take it out of their own pocket. Those of us in the right, especially me, if you've listened long enough, told you right from the beginning, this was a bad idea because businesses were not going to take it out of their pocket. Because businesses don't pay taxes. Businesses don't pay wages. Businesses don't pay a dime of anything. It all comes out of the pocket of their clients and customers. Because if they don't sell a product or service to you and I, who willingly turn over our hard-earned dollars in exchange for that product or service, they're not in business anymore. Plain and simple. So if the notion is that something costs $10, but now one of their costs to bring you that particular item at $10 has gone up, well, that it's not going to cost you $10 anymore. It's going to cost you $11, $12, or maybe $15. That's simple economics. It's economics 101. But look, a liberal can't even understand the basics of economics 101. If they do understand it, they refuse to believe it. Again, living in their fantasy world that happens to be a vacuum. Oh, but they can make $15 an hour and nothing else is going to be affected. Everybody's going to make the same amount of money. The business is going to make the same money. The customer is going to pay the same amount. We see this all the time. Look, they have this minimum wage over in the Netherlands. It's really high. But they don't tell you that, at the same time, in the Netherlands, they've got really high taxes. And people are not that well off. But again, you can point out the reality and the facts. And a liberal, because they're messed up in the head, they don't get it. It is a mental disorder all the way down.